Shifting our attention now towards the Second Chance Matric Programme. Joining us to fill us in on some of the key findings behind Youth Capital's review of the Department of Basic Education's Second Chance Matric Programme, as well as also to shed light on the various alternative pathways to ensure certification for young people, is Professor Martin Gustafsson. He's a researcher at Research on Socioeconomic Policy. He's also advisor to the Department of Basic Education. Professor, good evening, and thank you so much for your time.
Good evening, Benita. Good evening to your listeners.
Also joining us is Kristal Duncan-Williams, project lead at Youth Capital. Kristal, good evening, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Benito.
Kristal, let me start with you. I mean, who are the second chances that we're referring to as part of the Second Chance Matric Programme?
So I think when most people think about second chances, we're thinking about those learners who failed matric last year and are looking for the opportunity to rewrite their matrics, and as well as learners who maybe didn't get the marks they were hoping for in order to access post-school opportunities, to get into university. They have an opportunity to rewrite certain subjects in order to improve their marks. But included in that are also young people who maybe dropped out of school sometime after grade 9, but didn't manage to write their matric results, and they are also trying to get their matric. So it's quite a large group of young people who are basically looking for that second chance at obtaining their matric certificate.
Martin, what is the importance of certification for young people?
Well, certification is really the way you are able to communicate to either employers or to other education institutions, colleges, etc., what your abilities are. Are your strengths in languages, mathematics, or whatever? So certification is really important. We have a situation where just under half of South Africa's youth actually don't obtain a national certificate. They may have a school certificate, but they have problems communicating their skills. I think one of the ways one deals with this is government plans do refer to the introduction of a certificate in grade 9, which I think is important. It will also help with the articulation into TVET colleges. But then what our report focuses on, the report I did with Youth Capital, is increasing certification by just paying a bit more attention to second chances, who are really quite off the radar. What's on the radar is, these big numbers that appear at the end of the year, but that is the iceberg. But there's a bit of the iceberg which we're missing out on.
And I suppose if we continue that analogy, I mean, below the surface is, as you say, around 500,000 learners, because if one looks at the sort of throughput rate with 1 million learners starting their schooling, less than half would matriculate, and that's a problem.
It is. But my estimate is that in terms of the second chance space, there are about 250,000 youths every year who are doing something to kind of get the matric, though they didn't get it in the past. This could be senior certificate. It could be repeating the NSC in a school. It could be being a part-time student. So there are a lot of youths engaged in this activity.
And in terms of, Professor, the Second Chance Matric Programme, you mentioned that it can be applicable as well to those who have, for one reason or the other, dropped out in grade 9. I mean, who else can possibly partake of this? You mentioned about the second chances which are on the periphery. Are they included, and who are they?
Well, I mean, what is often not appreciated is that, in a sense, there are two matrics. There's the National Senior Certificate and there's the Senior Certificate, or the amended Senior Certificate, which exists and has a slightly different audience. So the Senior Certificate is important for people who have been out of school for a while. But what's really important to emphasize is that the two matrics have the same value. They have the same subjects. Great. Students write the same exams. And I think some of the challenge is to get more youths to pursue the senior certificate. And part of getting that right, I think, is about just disseminating information better. It's really difficult to obtain information that youths need with respect to second chance opportunities.
I suppose that's where an organization such as Youth Capital can come into play and provide a real role, Kristal. I mean, can you provide some insights in terms of the youth that the professor was referring to, and how can we further support these young people?
Absolutely. I think what we found in our kind of on-the-ground research with us is that young people just really, the communication from the Department of Basic Education is very confusing for a young person to navigate. Information on the website, there is a lot of information there, but it's difficult to find. It's contradictory in places. The activity on social media is non-existent, to be quite honest. And this is where young people are. Young people are on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on WhatsApp. And so I think what we've learned from COVID is that we can use these tools to really do mass communication and then get the information out there into the hands of young people with regards to how to register, where to register, what documentation is needed, what the cutoff dates are, when the exams are, and even, beyond that, supportive material. When you're in school, you've got teachers and textbooks, and once you leave school, you're on your own trying to, rewrite something that you've already failed without that support. So it's even harder. And now we add to that, young people once out of school, they have other responsibilities. They might be trying to juggle work. They might have a family to look after. And so it just becomes even harder for them to pass. And so having easy access to information, as well as resources that they can use to prepare for those exams are really the first thing that we need to fix in this Second Chance program to make it more accessible for young people and to ensure that they are more successful when they go this route.
And it's unfortunate that the communication is not as clear as it can be, just in terms of those details around the Second Chance Matric Programme. When can candidates register, and when do they sit down to write, Kristal?
So on our website, we actually wrote a piece on all of this and our little expedition to get the information. And so the last that we heard was that young people had until the 26th of March to register. So those dates have changed again. We saw recently on the website. And if you are doing a rewrite for having failed matric last year, you have to go to the district office in order to fill in the paperwork. Whereas if you were those older candidates that we mentioned, that apparently you can use an online platform, although we have heard rumors that the online platform does not work always. The best point of call, I think, for young people in our experience is to contact their local district office for the forms. And you can also go to the Youth Capital website, youthcapital.co.za, and we have a blog post detailing all the forms and documentation that you need. And I think I want to highlight here that there is no cost. There should be no cost for registration. We have heard rumors of young people being charged. There should be absolutely no cost. Registration should be free for young people if they go through the DBE district office. And
from the candidate point of view, are there any criteria?
No, I think I've explained, there's the different routes, so the NSC or the SC, and again, the details of that are on our website if people missed it in my explanation. But other than that, no, I think they just need their ID book. So, yeah.
Professor, it sounds from what Kristal had shared with us that government can do quite a bit in improving the communication to potential candidates around the Second Chance Matric Programme.
Yes, I think a lot more can be done, and a lot more can also be done with respect to doing, operations, transactions online, registration online, accessing one's personal information online, creating passwords, etc. I think e-governance is a big challenge for us. I mean, we have certain systems, but often they don't work very well. This is not just a South African problem. It is very difficult to set up effective e-governance systems. It's just a matter of throwing money at the problem and hoping that it's going to work well. So I think that NGOs such as Youth Capital, I think, play an important role in monitoring the effectiveness with which people can use these online systems effectively and provide feedback. I think there needs to be more of a debate around what is important in terms of online systems. What do you really need? What are they able to access with the technologies that they have?
Yeah. Can civil society play a role, do you think, as well, Professor?
Absolutely. I think even civil society struggles to really get into this e-governance space. But the pandemic, I think, has underlined how dependent we are on it, and the opportunities that are created. And it's not a very difficult area in which to do activism. One needs to survey some youths, for instance, who are using these systems, get feedback. What works? What does not work? If you listen to some people, the first are quite serious. People not getting information they need, and so on. And often that's just not out in the open.
Kristal, lastly, Youth Capital launched the action plan for the sector to assist the youth unemployment. What areas does it include, and how is the research connected to this plan?
So Youth Capital came up with an action plan that we really hope that the sector will find as an action plan for everybody working towards ensuring that all young people get their first decent job. And it covers the areas of education, transitions, and jobs. And obviously this Second Chance Programme fits within our education, and more specifically our action point on Certify Us. And Martin touched on the importance of certification for young people to be able to signal their skills to potential employers in order to access post-school learning opportunities. And so this issue of certification is really important. And currently the only certificate that young people get from school is the matric certificate. And that's why myself and I think Martin as well are very supportive of the rollout of the General Education System certificate, this grade 9 certificate, which was met with a lot of debate. But if we actually unpack why this certificate is important, we'll understand that this could be another certificate that could help young people who maybe don't make it to matric to access learning and earning opportunities, having at least something to prove their skills and something to show for all the years they've spent in school.
The information around the Second Chance Matric Programme, you mentioned it's on your website, Kristal?
That's correct. So we launched the report today. So if you just go to youthcapital.co.za, it's right on the homepage. You can click it and find the full report there.
Great. Kristal Duncan-Williams, Project Lead at Youth Capital. Thanks for joining us, Kristal. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Benito.
And a thank you as well to Professor Martin Gustafsson, researcher at Research on Socioeconomic Policy. He's also advisor to the Department of Basic Education. Professor, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Benito.